Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ben Gardner from the Local Music Guild, and we are broadcasting to you live from the OrlandoBands.com studio here in sunny Central Florida. So if you guys are in the area and if you're looking for a studio for rehearsal, practice space, tracking, just about everything. If you're looking for video work, photography, whatever, give us a holler, and we'd love to talk to you about that. So today I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Cody Williams. Hey, Cody, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you doing today, Ben?
All right, man. We've got a really great show coming up here, so we're going to dive into it here in just a moment. We also have our musical guest today. John Karp is going to be... We got a small performance from him when he was in the studio here a few weeks ago. And then we're going to do a little interview with him as well, too. So that'll be awesome. If you guys missed our last episode, we did the perks of printed promo. So a really great episode. Talked about, why, flyers, posters, business cards, brochures, things like that are still relevant and important for promoting your projects and your bands. So if you haven't seen that one yet, you can go into our YouTube channel or our Facebook. We also have the archive up there as well too, and you can check it out. And we also have other episodes and also performances from artists up on those web pages as well too. So beyond that, this week we're going to be talking about the infamous getting a band manager. So, the steps on how to appropriately seek and find do's and don'ts on getting a band manager. And, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be really, really good. We got a lot of great information on that. So, and then beyond that, what else do we have going on? We got events coming up.
Yes, we got some lots of events going on over the next couple of weeks, couple months. Today, obviously, we're doing our LMG workshop about getting a manager. Later on today at 6 p.m., we're going to do another LMG. This one's going to be an LMG Live.
Yay.
Featuring TJ Washburn.
Yeah, that's going to be great. If you guys have not seen TJ perform, if you're new to TJ Washburn, definitely stick around. He's a really great local artist in the Central Florida area here. He's been playing out and about, so he's got some really great songs and stuff, so he'll be playing for us. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, 6 p.m. sharp.
After we're done with this show, we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we'll have TJ here in the studio.
Absolutely. We also, this Tuesday, have our weekly open mic night at the Copper Rocket in Maitland. Always a fun event. Starts at 8 o'clock. Sign-ups start at 8 o'clock as well. If you want to come on out, sign up to perform. I'd recommend getting there about 7:30. Make sure you can get a good spot in line.
It gets filled fast, so you want to make sure you get there, as around 7:30, something like that. And they got a great drink selection. And it's a really, really great venue, so it sounds great, and a lot of good people coming out there to perform. So even if you're not performing, it's a good time to come out and check out some local music free of charge. So
absolutely
can't beat that.
Free.
And parking's free also. They got a nice big
free
lot.
Parking.
So, yeah.
This Saturday, December 8th, we're going to have our second Saturdays in Sanford. That's going to be at the West End Trading Company in the beautiful Sanford.
Yay.
Those are also pretty awesome events. We usually have 4 bands and 4 acoustic acts trading off, so you don't have any downtime of nothing. You got some music going on at all times. And of course, the West End always has great drink specials, and they got a kitchen. And
good food, good drinks. I think they do 2-for-1s until 9. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is on Saturdays. So definitely check it out.
Faux show. Tuesday, December 11th, we're going to have another open mic night. It's every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, so that's to be expected. December 15th, we're going to have our second annual Sanford Jingle Jam in the historic downtown Sanford.
Yeah.
And those events, that's going to be one of our bigger events, and they are amazing.
That's one of our bigger ones of the year. We have 2 mobile stages out on that one. I think they're doing a third one again this year too, but I know 2 of them will be ours. And I think we had over 10,000 people at that last year, so it was a monster show. And they, it's like encompasses like 6 blocks, I believe, out there in Sanford. So, and it's family friendly. So bring out the kids, and pet friendly as well too, kids and dogs. And that's Wayne Dench is who puts that on. So big thanks to Wayne Dench for their support for the community and contributing that wonderful event to Sanford. It's really fantastic.
Absolutely. December 8th, another Tuesday open mic night at the Copper Rocket. And January 12th, we'll have another second Saturdays in Sanford.
Yeah.
So,
and then also we're doing a New Year's show. We just landed at New Year's. We'll have one of our stages out at Sanford for the New Year's show. So we'll have more details on that as we get closer. So keep posted. You can go to orlandobands.com, find a calendar of events there, or go to the local music guild. There's these events that we do for the live streams up on there as well too. So, and then we're going to try to see if we can't get a music conference put together for next year for local music guild too. So all sorts of great things happening. But it should be fun.
All sorts of fun.
Yeah, we got our social media happening, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to chime in and leave us some messages on the Facebook stream here. And any shout outs over there, Cody? We got people joining us, or what's happening? What's going on now?
We got a couple people in here, a couple likes.
Cool.
Thanks Ryan Nolan for liking the post.
Yay!
Ben Waldock, it is 4 o'clock here, 4:07 to be exact, since he was wondering what time it is.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering too. I just woke up. So.
I know. I was taking a nap, and it was a nice nap. Is it 4 o'clock already?
4 o'clock somewhere.
Looks like that's all we've got so far.
All
so
right.
please come on in, join the chat, comment.
Yeah, and we
say some
appreciate
stuff.
shares too. So if you like what you're seeing, definitely share it. Lots to come up on this particular program, so yeah, we're going to get right into it here. So we had John Karp in the studio, and he came in and did one of our local music guild live sessions and did a performance for us and stuff. It was fantastic. So we've got a snippet from that I'm going to play for everybody. So this is John Karp, and he's performing his song off of his new album. He's got a self-titled album. So this is Cimarron Morning. So we're going to go ahead and get this rolling for you guys. Check this out.
I woke in the desert just outside of Cimarron. Put the backpack on my shoulders, walked out to the highway. And the sun came out from a mountain to paint the land red with its rays. Wild deer ran along beside me as if to say farewell. And I had gone a long, long way, far, far from my home. Headed north to Denver, hitched a ride with a stranger. Eyes on the Continental Divide, what could we be separated from? Prehistoric ant hills reminded me of a time when I thought I could survive. And we climbed higher in the mountains till I left a piece of me behind. And I've been gone a long, long time, far, far from pickup truck heading down to the islands. Duval Street is a good time, but I'm more of the quiet kind. And a Key West sunset sure is fine. I could easily die there, but as far as moving on is concerned, nothing says you right like a Cimarron morning.
All right, that was John Carp. Yay, performing live in our studio a couple weeks ago. We did that live session. So that was his song Cimarron Morning. And he's got a really great album full of all sorts of great songs on there. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So, hey there, John. Welcome to the show, bud. Good to have you back in the studio.
Oh, it's great being here again. It's nice seeing you guys again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cody's got some questions for you. He's going to kind of run through, and so prepare yourself.
Oh, I'm ready.
I hope so. Mr. John,
Nice seeing you again,
nice
Cody.
seeing you. It's always a pleasure meeting up with the old famous John Carp.
Oh, likewise.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I got a few questions for you. First off, what inspired you to start making music?
Well, strangely enough, music inspired me to make music.
It's like a paradox.
It's like a parasite. It infects you and then you spread it to others, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I can speak for just about everybody that music has a way of communicating things that we have a hard time communicating in words, right?
For sure.
And it definitely had that effect on me, and I felt somewhere along the line I felt that I could contribute to that even more, and so I just kind of played around with drums and the guitar, and until I started to kind of find my voice a little bit. And when I was in college, I took poetry writing classes and stuff and started writing lyrics, and one thing led to another, and eventually I started writing music that was resonating with me, and that was about the time where I decided, okay, I need to start doing this now.
For sure, yeah. You said you were playing guitar and drums. You play multiple instruments, right?
Mm-hmm.
What made you such a versatile musician?
Well, I did play in my high school band, in the school orchestra, and the marching band, and I played on the drum line when I was in high school. My mom started me off on the piano when I was very young. It's, for me, though, what really kind of made everything kind of fall in line was I kind of look at instruments as being patterns, right? Because I was primarily a drummer. As a drummer, you're always working in patterns. I'm sure you understand that. And I found that the same thing applied to the guitar, weirdly enough, because if you move down the neck, it's working in a grid. So as long as you understand how the grid's laid out, you can pick up a mandolin and you make some tweaks, and you're still moving down the grid, essentially. So that opens up a huge world into which you can explore different instruments. And as far as the piano is concerned, like I said, I played piano a little bit when I was a kid, but really I started understanding it better when I played marimbas and percussion in high school. So it's kind of one of those things where once you learn one instrument and you kind of understand how that instrument's laid out in terms of its patterns, you can kind of jump onto other instruments as well.
For sure, and it's always good to know as a musician more than just one instrument.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever play with other people, knowing where they're coming from, it really helps to get into the music.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
So, what was your most memorable experience while recording your new self-titled album, John Carp?
Well, at the beginning of Coral Snake, there's these cricket sounds, and I got those in my backyard. I live on, or I grew up on an acre and a half of land that's mostly woods. So I went back in there at night to record these cricket sounds, and my cat at the time, she's half bobcat, and she followed me. She lived outside primarily. And she followed me back in there, and I took about like 10 takes of these cricket sounds on, like, you know, those little Tascam recorders.
Right.
And on one of the takes, my cat meowed, right? Which doesn't sound like anything, but about a couple weeks after that happened, my cat was torn apart by a pit bull
Oh, jeez.
that had gotten loose. So I was, you know, going through all that audio and trying to find the take that I liked the most, and I found the one where she meowed on it. I still have it on my computer, so it's about the last memory I have of my cat, which I grew up with. I had that cat since I was about, I don't know, in the 4th grade or so. So I'd say that's the most memorable. It's the darkest memory, but it's the most memorable one.
It's cool that you got a nice audio recording of your cat.
Yeah.
You know, you can always go back and listen to that. Hey, maybe it's in a song. You know.
Well, yeah. No, it's not. It's not the one that's in the song. But,
Well, maybe not yet.
well, maybe.
Stay tuned.
Maybe I'll hold on to it.
Do you have any upcoming events or works in progress?
Well, my big upcoming event right now is the fact that I'm moving to St. Augustine. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
kind of taking up the majority of my time. It's just kind of moving from my hometown to St. Augustine. But that being said, I have recorded another collection of songs, an EP, which is, in this case, it's about 4 songs. I'm hoping to put that one out in February is where I'm looking, but we'll see as soon as things settle down a little bit for me.
For sure, for sure. So tell us more about the lyrics to Cimarron Morning. That was the song we just listened to.
Well, that had a very interesting story that went along with it. When I was 15 years old, my Boy Scout troop, or I went with my Boy Scout troop out to New Mexico to this big scout ranch called Philmont. It's kind of a place where you go backpacking out in the highlands in New Mexico, right?
Right.
And it just so happened that a trip was scheduled right in the middle of my parents' divorce trial. So I had to be taken off of the trail early to then fly back to Florida to be part of that, because I had to choose who I wanted to live with, basically.
Right.
So I was taken, and the way it is in New Mexico and a lot of other places in the Southwest, you have the desert lowland, right? And then when you go up to the mountains, it turns into an alpine atmosphere and ecosystem. So anyway, I was brought down to the desert lowlands, right, where the base camp was, and all I was told was that some guy in a white van was going to pick me up on the side of the highway the next morning. So next morning, I got all my stuff on my backpack, headed out to the highway, and there's not a soul anywhere, right? Just tumbleweeds going by.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing out there, and some deers run by, and then I started to notice that the sun was coming up over, or from beyond this mountain, and the way the sun radiated off of the desert sand and the red rock that's there, it was unlike anything I'd ever seen, and it was awe-inspiring. And to say that I was feeling trepidatious about the whole divorce proceedings is an understatement. So seeing that kind of gave me that little bit of extra inspiration to do what I needed to do, right?
Right.
So then that's when the guy in the white van picked me up and took me to Denver. So the song kind of follows that story, but it also ends in Key West, and you're kind of like, well, why we end up in Key West? And the reason is because I had gone down there, and in Mallory Square, people crowd around there around sunset all the time, and they'll have jugglers and fire eaters and musicians and all that, but they applaud like the sunset, and it's beautiful. But I kind of, in seeing that, I was like, well, this is a nice way to kind of end it's kind of a nice way to book in a story, right? But if I have to choose between a beautiful sunset and a beautiful sunrise, and that beautiful sunrise comes with a degree of difficulty, I would much rather have that sunrise, because I believe it's that difficulty in our lives that kind of keeps us alive, right?
For sure, yeah.
Because if there's nothing that you're striving for, you essentially kind of wither away. And so I think that's kind of what that song's about in a way.
I like that. That's a good good little tidbit information. I was watching your new music video, "Falling Apart." There's a lot of cool video footage in there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about that music video?
Well, the guy that I worked on the music video with, he's an old college buddy of mine. We used to make little short films when I was in school, him and I. And basically, we were very limited because he lives way up in New York City, and we were very limited in what we could do. We couldn't really film anything, so we had to use like stock footage or whatever footage we had lying around. And so that kind of limitation kind of inspired this idea of, well, what could be another angle on this falling apart thing? I mean, when you listen to the song by itself, it very much seems like a breakup song, right? But I thought, well, maybe maybe we could take this a couple steps further. Maybe we could show the sort of cyclical nature of life existence, where life is very much destructive and constructive, right? And we see that in everything we do as human beings. I mean, we'll build great cities, and then we'll turn around and we'll bomb those cities, right?
Growth and decay.
Exactly. And so him and I chose footage that kind of fit in with that idea of the cyclical nature of construction and destruction. And we also devoted one part of the story to analyzing that from a female perspective. That was the very first part of that video. And then the second part of the video, we analyze the same thing but from a male perspective. And it's kind of that, once again, battle of the sexes, conflict and resolution. That was kind of what we were going for on that. His name, by the way, is Manuel Cuyar. So if you want to check out his work, I highly recommend it.
Cool. So you do all of your own self-publishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's something you've learned along the way about self-publishing?
Well, right now I haven't done anything beyond my own work, so I can't give you too many crazy stories, but it's a lot simpler than I think a lot of people might think.
Something that you could, do some research on and kind of really jump in and do it yourself?
Yeah, basically. And here in the state of Florida, it's super easy to start a business. You can just go on to sunbiz.org and start one within a day, or within a couple days rather. And that's pretty great, because then, you can kind of throw your whole business into one thing. You can do that for scheduling events, your publishing, obviously, and copywriting as well. The thing I would suggest to people is get your stuff copywritten, because granted that's only a limited amount of protection, but little protection is better than no protection, I would say. And then register with either ASCAP or BMI, and you can do your homework as to which one you prefer. I'm with ASCAP because, frankly, I think they're a little bit better, but some people prefer BMI, and that's just as fine.
For sure, yeah. Do your research,
Mm-hmm.
figure out which one you like more.
And what's great about being a self-publisher is that you get half the royalties for being the artist who created the work, but you also get the other half for being the publisher. So you get 100% of the royalties.
There you go.
Which is pretty sweet.
You don't want to have to forfeit any of your money. I know I don't want to. I want to keep as much as I can.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to get out there and make money as a musician, a local musician nowadays. So keeping more of your money is always good.
That's right.
What has been the biggest challenge for you as a musician since you started playing?
Well, the biggest challenge has just been getting more listeners, especially nowadays, it's very hard to find a good promoter. And I guess we'll be talking a little bit about this in a way when we're talking about finding a good manager, So I'm very interested in this discussion today. But you know, it's again just finding good people to work with. It can be a challenge, and although that I don't think that's concentrated in music, I think that's across the board. But you know, I'd say if you can find good people to work with, you know, grab them and don't let them go.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. Is there anyone you'd like to acknowledge?
There's a few people I'd like to acknowledge. First and foremost, I have to thank my mom big time. My mom has been a big supporter of me throughout my life and whatever endeavors I went through, or I decided to go through rather. And you know, would not be half the man that I am today if it was not for my mother. So I have to thank Mom first and foremost. And then of course I want to thank Ben Gardner over here for not only putting on these great events that he does through Orlando Bands, but helping me out.
My pleasure, man. We're glad to have you, man. Glad to have you in the
Yeah.
studio. And
And-
you were on our street team as well, too, when
Yes.
you interned with us. So.
That's right, yeah.
And that was great having you on the team. We did a lot of events together and all sorts of shows. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's been a real. It's been a couple of years now, right? So since
Since 2016.
yeah, so
yeah.
which, by the way, there's a little plug for you. I'll just inject real quick. If anybody out there is looking for internship opportunities, you know, give us a holler. So lots happening. So we need the help.
Yeah. And then there's two other people I'd quickly like to thank. And first one's my high school band director, Rob Rubin, who obviously gave me quite a lot of musical education. My guitar teacher, Jason Reimer, and my vocal teacher, Billy Borovina.
That's a good slew of people.
Yeah.
A lot of good people on your side. That's awesome, man. And you know, it's really cool too, because you know, like we just said, it's been a couple of years since you interned with us, and just seeing you develop as an artist, and to go from that. You know, I remember when you were cutting the drum tracks in here and in the studio and stuff, and just seeing you progress and keep moving, and you know, now you're working in radio, and you're
Yeah.
moving up to up north to
St.
St.
Augustine.
Augustine. Yeah, yeah. And
sure.
that sounds like it's gonna be a real booming area for you too. So
Yeah.
a lot happening, man. Very
I'm
very
excited
cool
for
to
it.
see you keep moving like that. You know,
I appreciate
it's
it, man.
awesome, man. You're doing awesome. You're doing great, man. Very cool.
Absolutely. That's I think that's all we got for our interview today.
All
so
right.
again, thanks for coming on and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, no, I
sitting
appreciate
through
it.
a couple of questions with us and
Totally.
Sweating it out.
sweating it out.
Sweating out.
Well, that's awesome. That's John Carp, everybody. So, again, check out johncarp.com is the website. And then, of course, Facebook and all that wonderful social media stuff, too. And then definitely look into his new album. It's self-titled, John Carp. So, a lot of good songs, including the one you saw perform in the studio here live. That is on that album. And how many tracks total are on it?
There's 9 songs on this album, and
Okay.
you can hear it on. You can buy it on iTunes. You can hear it on Spotify, YouTube, and several other streaming platforms.
Yeah. Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our topic for today. So we've had a lot of people asking for this one. So we appreciate it when everybody gives us input on what they want us to research and talk about. So today we're going to be talking about how to find the band manager. I see this get butchered all the time. So, Cody, I know you guys in Devil's Target, you guys have a manager, or I know, John, you're kind of managing yourself in a lot of ways, but are you guys looking for one? How do you go about delegating that type of responsibility in your band?
So when we originally started, well, not when we originally started, because we originally started years and years and years ago. But when we got serious about it about a year and a half ago, we had somebody else drumming for us,
Yeah.
and I was going to school for audio engineering, and so we decided I would just be the manager. And that worked out pretty great until we
Until the accident.
I grew a second head, and we ended up getting rid of our other drummer, and I became the drummer. And from then on out, I was still the manager. I was manager and the drummer.
Gotcha.
It's not hard to balance both, but I'll tell you what, being a manager is very, very, very difficult.
Yeah,
There's
a lot
so
of hats
much
to wear.
to it.
For
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Right on. So you're still kind of, well, you guys kind of work as a team on your band more than anything else.
Yeah, we definitely treat it as a voting thing. Everybody has equal say.
Gotcha.
I don't say, oh, I'm the manager, so I can veto that or
Yeah.
anything like that. You know, the title of manager is only so that somebody has, you know, a way to blame me.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
Yeah, we do everything voting wise, but I would highly recommend not managing your own band.
Yeah.
Don't do it the way I'm doing it.
Right on, man.
It's
right on.
it's totally cool to have somebody else with an outside perspective to be the manager and be able to give you outside reasons why
Yeah.
things should be done this way or that way, and you know, being involved with the project itself will kind of change the way you view it as a manager. You might not view it the same way because you're a part of the project itself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That you know, a manager should be seeing it.
Yeah, well, you got to get those creative rights invested in on it. So you know, when
Yeah.
you're on that side of the creative side, it definitely, you can get, you know, feelings hurt and stuff a little easier and things like that too. So it's more delicate. So yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about how to find a manager. Now I see a lot of guys, they'll come in and you know, on our shows and studio and stuff like that, and this is okay. A lot of them have, you know, the momager, you know, the girlfriend anager, you know, the dadager, you know, stuff like that, and that's awesome. I've seen it work, and I've seen it totally not work. So, and you know, it's really just, you know, make sure that you're picking out somebody that you feel is going to represent your project professionally, and also, you know, have good ends and stuff. So sometimes, you know, when you're looking for a manager, the first place to start really isn't always necessarily like, you know, the girlfriend or the, you know, my cousin Vinny, or, you know, whatever, you know. So if you are looking for somebody outside of that, here are some steps, you know, to find somebody and scout for, you know, maybe somebody who's got a little bit more experience in it or something like that. But so holding auditions and doing interviews, it's kind of hard to scout out because there's definitely not as many people running around who want to manage bands, you know, like there used to be. I think a lot of people, for one, understand that it's a very heavy task to take on, but you know, there are people who are doing it. Students are good, you know. If you're just getting started, you don't need anybody who's, you know, super you know, established. There's plenty of students and stuff that are going to school to try to break into the industry that could be a you know, potential lead for you. When you do these interviews, though, it's always really, what I suggest is, you know, ask them what their step-by-step game plan would be. That way you have an idea of what's going to be happening and what kind of decisions they're going to be making, and then make sure that you have similar goals as they would have. So if you know that you're going to be producing an album and releasing it in the next 6 months to a year, and they want to put you on tour instead, you know, you may not jive with their plan, you know. So you want to make sure that they're understanding where you're coming from, what you want to establish, accomplish, and then vice versa, you know. You also might want to do a trial period. So, you know, you can be the manager, but for the next 2 months or month or whatever, let's just see how it goes, and then set up goals for that time period that need to be accomplished within that time period. And that'll tell you, that'll tell you, you know, hey, did we accomplish those goals, and did we use the time wisely, or maybe some of the goals that you had originally established were a little bit too big, you know, and that can also be a reality check on how well prepared they are to handle your band and stuff as well too. You know, the reason why I kind of initially put down the girlfriend and another big part of that is somebody who's single-sided, and that's kind of what we were just talking about. You don't want to have somebody who's going to go, well, I can't disagree with her because I have to go home with her later, and you know, like, I don't want to sleep on the couch. So, so having somebody who is neutral, you know, throughout the entire band is kind of important, and then kind of leads to less arguments and less turmoil you could kind of run into. So the other thing that you may want to do is ask for referrals, and then follow up on them. So if it's somebody who has previous experience, you know, with another artist in town, if they have other bands that they're managing at the same time, you know, check in with them. Hey, you know, what have they done for you? Is it you know, is it good, bad, you know, and just get some ideas. And then the other thing I'm going to caution everybody on is just handing over the keys. You want to kind of take step by step, and I understand that, you know, once you find somebody, you really want to get moving, but I wouldn't like hand over all your passwords and sensitive, here's the website password and here's the Facebook password and here's all of this, honestly, that stuff should be kind of delegated anyway. So not handing that over right off the bat is kind of good. We use for our team, we use password protection contracts actually that we make everybody sign. And I highly suggest anytime you hand out a password to anybody, whether it's an intern or whether it's somebody just helping you out on your team, like a street team lead or manager or whatever, or anybody even in the band, always make sure you have them sign, that they're not going to do anything malicious or bad, to your.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut you down.
It happens.
Yeah, it does.
Even somebody you think you might know a lot, you know. You hand over a key, and all of a sudden, all your stuff's gone.
Yeah. Any band that has www.myband.org, they didn't plan on .org. They had a .com, I'm sure, at one time, But that's how that kind of works, So what is a manager, especially today? Because again, things have changed so much. Managers' jobs, so we'll kind of burn through it a little bit, but it's basically to take care of the business side of things, allowing the artist to take care of the creative side of things. So, the duties may vary, obviously, especially depending on where the band's at in their career. Again, you may want to start with somebody who is kind of new. If you're new, especially if you don't have a budget to pay for somebody, that's also big too. Remember, you're only going to get what you pay for. So if somebody's volunteering and working for you for free, you really can't expect the world, because I guarantee the guys who are organizing East Coast tours and international events and things like that, they're not working for free. I can just about promise you that. So typical responsibilities may include promoting the band and marketing materials like EPs and assuring distribution to the proper press and media outlets. A good manager is going to be established in the sense that they have places to put you in all realms, not just performance-wise. They usually wear a lot of hats in that realm. So. The other thing, along with that contract thing, I was going to say with the passwords and stuff. Get everything in writing with your managers as well too. You don't want any surprises. So here's our 6-month plan. Sign off on it. So financial management for a project is a pretty heavy topic. Every band, in my opinion, should absolutely have a budget, a working budget. If you're flipping burgers, or if you have a real job, or if you have, actually that's kind of a real job now. I think they're making like $20-30 an hour now at McDonald's. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're all robots now.
Well, that's true too.
Replacing them with machines.
Yeah. I won't even go to some of these stores now. I won't say any big name brands or whatever, but just because the checkout lines, it's like I need a real person. I'm not checking everything out myself, and if I am, I'm stealing it. No, I'm just kidding. But so financing is a big thing. Everybody in the band should be chipping in something, and it could be relative to their budget, or it could just be a flat. Everybody has to put in $30 a week or whatever. But there needs to be a budget, otherwise your project just simply will not grow. It's kind of just the way of the world. If you don't have money to invest in a merch line, or invest in your new album, or invest in anything, you will not have a product to sell, and you won't have gasoline in a van that you rent to go on a tour. You won't be able to do anything. So. Having those finances set up, and a manager from the outside point of view is really great, because they can help delegate where those funds are going. They can also ensure that the correct payment is received from venues when you're playing, paying the bills for promotional materials and hotel rooms. Put that all in one person. That way, it doesn't kind of, somebody drops the ball, you know who to blame on it. And then also pursue funding opportunities for the artists, such as Kickstarters or fundraising for tours and things like that. They should have some kind of financial plan set up for the band, whether it's selling so many units of product or launching a merch line appropriately, things like that, And then, of course, the networking side. So that's a 24/7 job. And I know you guys can probably agree with that. It's constantly pushing, So always being on the lookout for new opportunities, networking opportunities, things like that is a big deal. meeting new contacts, introducing their band to broader listening base in any way that you possibly can. Basically, the manager is the mouthpiece of the band and an integral part of the band's process, of course, too. So you want that spokesperson there for you. And when you do have somebody like that on your project, it's important to not overstep them. So let them do that job. Because I've seen that too, where we take on a band, we book them, and then they say, "Oh, well, we'll have, we have a manager." Okay, cool. You start talking to the manager, but then the one guy in the band is also trying to communicate and call shots, and so let them do that, because it'll make you look a little unorganized. So the important part of that is making sure that the manager knows the ins and outs of the band, what you can do, what you can't do, everyone's schedules, conflicts, all that has to be known by that person. So you got to make sure you inform them, because they're really going to be a big deal when it comes to representing you, how professional the band is going to be, how easy or difficult you're going to be to work with. It's all going to be portrayed from this one person. So choose wisely, But of course, the manager and anybody that's in the band, in my opinion, should have business cards and press kits with them at all times. I know we are living in an age of EPKs and electronic press kits and things like that, but I think that having printed materials, like we talked about on our last show, is still super relevant and important. And if you
Absolutely.
if you have that on you and you just happen to be in the right place, right time, it's great to just hand that off. And this is us. Take a listen to it. Again, just being prepared. Promotion, helping to determine the best activities for the bands to participate in. Again, this is that intimacy level of having somebody representing your band and knowing what you can't do, what your limitations are, and where you need to be properly placing you. So should they play a free show or be booked for a fundraising event, where maybe you're not going to make any money or whatever, or should they stick with playing only, events booked with well-known artists? Should they take ticketing events, where they have to be committed to pre-sale tickets? And if so, what areas can you accomplish those goals, regionally? It wouldn't make sense for a band to have to pre-sell 20 tickets in Atlanta, Georgia, when they're from LA and they don't really know anybody there, or maybe vice versa. So knowing, sometimes those opportunities when they come up are great, but having somebody that knows what the band can do capability wise and not getting themselves into trouble is really important. Overseeing and delegating promotional tasks to the members or others in their camp. For example, the lead singer may have the duty of keeping up with the Facebook account, and the bass player may be in charge of distributing flyers in areas for upcoming events. So, it's not so much that your manager should handle all of that, but he or she should be delegating that to the members of the band, or even to a street team that, you have organized. I know, Cody, you've got a bit of a kind of a street team, some people out there that are following you guys that help out quite a bit. And John, I don't know, do you have you started a street team at all or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
We're
So
your
far.
street team.
So far, it's me, myself, and I.
Right on. And that's cool though. There's nothing wrong with that,
For sure.
And you know what? We're going to have a topic for that coming up soon too. Just on the ins and outs of forming a street team. We've had a ton of experience with that. I think we've had over 150 to 180 now interns through the OrlandoBands.com project now over the last 3 or 4 years, and we've had a lot of volunteers as well too. So I can talk all day on that, but I won't today. Booking gigs. That's what everybody wants, right?
That's the point of it all.
Yeah, get me on a stage. So booking bands for a manager it's definitely an important part, but it's not always the main thing that managers will do. Especially on larger shows, like tours and stuff like that. What you're looking for is a tour manager, or
a booking agent,
or an agency, which are pretty much also non-existent anymore. So managers will kind of wear those hats as well too. So just kind of keep that in mind, that it's not always just about booking, especially today. Like sometimes there's been people who have done really well, not even really playing in areas live and doing really well through social media and YouTubes and things like that. So, it really depends again on what your goals are, what you want to do with your band and your project, and making sure that they align with this representative that you're going to be bringing into your project. So, the other big thing is negotiating. So acting as a liaison between the band and the venue or the promoters. We kind of touched on that a little bit. Some of the manager's responsibilities may be to ensure that the band is playing for a fair percentage, or a fair amount of pre-sale tickets. Something that again they can handle. And and they could also be handling their rider requests, so making sure that there's water, beverages, food provided, whatever they need, as far as either the promoter or the venue should be handling. The manager will kind of make sure that that's there. He's also responsible for signing, pretty much all the performance agreements. So again, that's contractual. So you really want to make sure that if your manager goes to a promoter and they say, well, you'll be responsible for these things, whether it's pre-sale tickets or this amount of people through the door or this amount of promotion or whatever, you want to make sure that they're signing on your behalf, that one, they understand that variable, and then two, they communicate it to you as the artist. That's one of the big things that we've had problems with, again, working with managers that aren't really professional, is we'll relay all the information about upcoming events or shows and things like that we'll book the band on, and then they just don't tell the band. And then one of two things will happen. That manager will either have left the band by the time it's the show comes around and the band is oblivious to anything, or secondly, the band will fire the manager the day of the show because they didn't communicate anything to them. So you really, again, want to make sure there's huge lines of communication and weekly meetings and to just establish the band's goals and just to establish and refresh where you guys are headed, and not just between the manager and one guy. It really needs to be a group effort. Just because you have
everybody,
just because you have the manager doesn't mean that you guys stop working. It means that you work harder now, really. The other thing that the good manager will also provide is coaching. So they can make a huge difference to band members when life coaching is needed. They need to be able to take on the role as a counselor and a therapist when needed, and that's really no joke. Diffusing quarrels between band members, that's why everybody calls the management position babysitting, because that is a lot of it, is just diffusing, especially when you have a creative group. I'm sure anybody in a band understands that creative differences can cause a lot of arguments and a lot of stress on the project. So having somebody to kind of moderate that is a good thing to have, and it can even get more extreme, helping people with drug and alcohol addictions, things like that may pop up, and then support during family crises or bad breakups with girlfriends or boyfriends. This is all real stuff that absolutely happens. And then making sure other coaching roles include always seeking out new outlets to get the music out there, like Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and how to ramp up those views and listens and stuff, what they can do to push those channels, and give coaching advice on the band's stage presence. So that one's scary. Everybody likes to be told that they suck on stage, right? You're not doing as good as you could, but it's a very, very real thing. So having somebody who has a little bit of experience with knowing how to utilize the real estate of a stage is it really is a big deal. If your performance isn't strong on stage, listen to people that you trust, like your manager. And if you don't trust your manager, they shouldn't be your manager. So take that type of input in. And, again, a manager should also have enough experience behind them to know what a band can and can't do on stage and get away with, and what works and doesn't work, especially given your set. But that's all part of advancing as an artist and performing and things like that. So do you guys ever get input even from the crowd? Or I'm kind of curious about that. Do you guys ever anybody say, "Hey, man, you're so good, but you could be doing this or that"? Like, you guys ever get that kind of feedback?
I get it a little bit from some of the other performers, mainly ones that we've worked with a few times. Other musicians that I actually look up to, from some other local bands in the area. I've had people tell me, I've had both of them, oh, you guys are doing so great, you kick butt, this and that.
Yeah,
but they don't
sure.
really tell you, anything you can improve on.
I gotcha.
But I've also had some people come up to me and say, hey, you guys did pretty good.
Yeah.
But, this guy kind of just stood there and, didn't really engage the crowd, or,
Yeah,
I could hear you were off beat there or something a little bit, and it sounded a little funny, or
Gotcha.
maybe when your guys kicked a cable out of the amp or something, you got to be careful not to do that.
I mean, just between both of you guys,
I never hear the audience comment on anything other than good things.
Yeah.
But sometimes sometimes my mom comes to some of the shows, and she'll give me her 2 cents.
Right
which is nice, which is great.
She's not afraid to.
No, she's not afraid to, which is great, because you gotta have somebody who will do that.
I agree.
You have in the past.
Yeah.
And so I value that big time, because how else are you supposed to improve?
Exactly.
Because everyone, like, most of the time, I feel like audiences are mostly going to be polite anyway, even if you are horrible.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to know who's being honest and who's not,
Absolutely. And again, having that trusted source, in the band it makes it go so much smoother and easier. It's still not ever, I think, great to hear, but but it does help.
Well, yeah, it hurts your ego a little bit, but
yeah.
But if you're, if you have a soft ego, you might want to find another line of work.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sending out the demos to the labels, that's old school tactics there, but you know what, it's still, I've had several conversations just this week on some artists that are, that's pretty good, huh?
I think that's about it.
I think that's about it. Well, guys, stay tuned. We're coming back at 6 o'clock with TJ Washburn. So stick around, and we'll have more for you. In the meantime, we appreciate all your guys' support and everything. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, definitely visit us at localmusicguild.com for additional details on that. And also past episodes on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. So thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate your support.